Where's the phone?
All right, like I said, today's lesson, time management and focus. So there are two important things to every workout: how long it takes and how focused you are. Now, the average lifter or the beginner lifter will not know kind of how to keep these things intact, because you'll find that strength is going down, your motivation is going down. You're like, dang, I just don't really want to do this. Things of that nature. And in time management, man, this workout should have not taken 2 hours, because on a regular day, this would have been like, what, an hour and 10 minutes, all right, including the warm up. I don't know why it took so long. Like, I was just geeked or something. There was not good time management here. So, let me give you some good strategies on how to manage your workouts in terms of time and how to manage your focus. So, for managing your time, generally you want to rest 2 to 3 minutes between every set. If you're doing only 2 sets, I'm doing like 5, 6 exercises, that's only like 12-ish minutes spent resting. So let's bump that up. Let's say like 15 to 20 minutes spent resting the whole workout, right? The actual sets themselves usually don't take more than a minute. So, you know, what I do usually is that I'll look at my phone, I'll take note of the time. 2 minutes after that, I'll be like, okay. So let's say in this case, the time was like 8:53. I wait until 8:55. Like, I'll be on my phone a little bit, because I'm at the point where my focus doesn't break if I'm just on my phone a little bit. I can kind of refocus very quickly, but just be on my phone for a little bit. Look at the time. Okay, get my bearings. Do I feel good enough for this next set? If I do, okay, give myself another 20 to 30 seconds. Boom. Now I'm back in the set. Now I'm back to doing that. All right. Another thing is you want to make sure you're not resting too long. Like, sometimes, I think during the session, my biggest vice is that I was on my phone, I was walking around a bit too much. Like, when you have to grab plates, when the machine isn't there, or a machine is taken, when your machine is taken, it's just kind of hard to be like, you know, that makes it harder to keep track of the time. Vice on me. Hope it won't happen again, but probably it's going to happen again. And that's enough for the time management. Now for the focus. Your focus is important, because when you keep losing focus, you're going to find that your sense of time is slipping away. You're going to find that you're in the gym longer. You're going to find that you're not really, getting these lifts. That's why usually when you're lifting heavyweight, or usually when I'm lifting heavyweight, I put in my headphones, I lock in, I'm focused on my set, you know. But if it's not like bench press or like a row or something of that nature, I'm like, I can kind of like look around a little bit. Because for movements like a tricep push down or like a curl, I mean, it's not that deep, bro. Like, I don't really need to be that focused. I'm just moving the arm. That's it. But yeah. Anyway, that's part of the knowledge. That's the main part of the knowledge I want to impart to you today. So let me explain these exercises. For barbell row, the way I set it up is that, because it's on the Smith machine, you can't get that natural, curved path where it will start like under your chest and kind of you pull it towards your belly button. So the way I set it up is that I want to be in such a position that I'm already rowing to my belly button. So when I lean over slightly, the bar is below my belly button, and all I'm doing is coming up, bringing my torso up a little bit as well, so that I have some momentum to bring the weight up. Anyway, this is a different angle. And another thing I want to give is that there are certain cues for certain exercises that you should take into account. For general rowing movements, general pulling movements, good cue I found is that imagine you're pulling from your elbows. So let's say, kind of vulgar, but your forearms get chopped off and your hands are just glued to your humerus, right? That's basically how you should be pulling. I know the biomechanics don't make sense, but that's kind of the mental cue I use. So, as you can see here, when this man finally begins his set, right, I'm not trying to pull with my hands. Like, I have the straps, but I'm usually like pulling from my elbows. I guess there are chi reps here, yada yada, momentum, yada yada. Okay, don't matter. All right. Point is, lift heavy weight, get stronger, get bigger. Simple as that. The same also goes for the pull down. Like, I use this attachment here because when I tried it out, I think a couple of weeks ago, I actually found that I could feel my lats. Right? Maybe it's because the orientation of the hands, them being in like a hammer curl position, actually lets me, like, when I'm pulling from my elbows, it actually lets me feel my lats. Truth be told, don't know the biomechanics behind it, but I just know if you're having trouble feeling your lats, try this out. And also, please use straps. All right. If you're lifting heavier weight, lifting straps are an actual requirement. Before, I was also part of the club that said, don't use lifting straps, just train your grip strength. But when you're lifting heavy freaking weight, all right, your grip will start to slip and your forearms will start to fail before your actual intended back muscles. So as you can see here in my reps, right, keep in mind when I tried this weight before, very, very hard to do. But here, hitting it for reps, already, well, albeit struggling with these reps, but I'm hitting it for reps. That's all. Favorite exercise of the bunch. I call this one the gooch grinder. I call this one the bisector. If you know what I mean. Like, okay, okay, or the reason you want to face away from the cable when you're actually doing these curls is because the resistance path actually lets there be more constant tension than if you're facing towards. Because when you're pulling it straight up and down, at some point the biceps are not going to be activated. However, if you step or if you're pulling it kind of diagonally away, like if you're pulling the cable diagonally, there's always going to be some constant tension on your biceps. So you're getting that eccentric, that concentric, and that isometrics. The isometrics are, sorry, isometrics are very much active. Let me say that again. Isometrics in the biceps during this movement are very much active. That's probably why this is the better alternative to most of the bicep exercises that we see today. Yeah. All right, last thing, I just wanted to record the pump. Obviously, you go in the Planet Fitness bathroom. Whenever I record in the bathroom, like, this is like the waiting room, like the locker room area, not like the actual, like stalls and whatnot. And the wall is literally behind me because I was like, I don't really want to catch anyone, walking into the shot. So yeah, I mean, decent pump. You know, from a purely critiqueful standpoint, really need to work on the back width, really need to work on the back thickness. Albeit it's decent for now. There are levels to this. The rear delts need to come up, bicep peaks need to come up, the brachioradialis needs to come up. Just purely constructive. Right. But that ends off day 2. Tomorrow I have an opening shift, so God help me. I'm gonna have to work out in the afternoon with all the free Planet Fitness goons.